because I genuinely just like making personas come to life. It's like you draw them, like example, someone draws them, right? And then we bring it to life in a costume form. I feel like that's a job I would really, really love to become more serious at. Because every persona has a sentimental value to the creator, right?
You're tuning in to the Fox and Burger podcast, where we bring you closer to the Asian side of the furry fandom, one episode at a time. I'm your host, Michael the Matcha Fox.
And I'm Burger.
And today, we're visiting the Philippines with artist and fursuit maker, Ruth.
In this episode, we learned about how Ruth was introduced to the furry fandom and how she took a liking to fursuits. We also discussed her experience as a guest of honor at Philifur, and finally, we learned some fursuit making tips and took a glimpse at some of her future projects.
We're excited to return to the Philippines. So, sit back, relax, have some pandesal, and enjoy the episode. Okay, Ruth, welcome to the podcast.
Oh my gosh, hi! I'm so excited.
We're glad you're excited to be here, yeah.
Yeah, it's been so long and, I've been hyping this up for quite a while. And nice to meet you guys. Nice to hear your voices.
I think this is the first time hearing your voice. Aside from the voice recording.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really
Ooh.
I didn't watch any of the Philifur videos, not yet at least. But yeah, it is definitely an honor to have you on the pod after scheduling this interview for so long.
Yes, I'm so thankful that you guys were so patient with me and understanding what's been going on my side.
Sure.
So I'm glad. Yeah, I'm just glad to finally be in the interview now and, finally answer the questions. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I said in the group chat before, it's like, even though we've had all these delays and stuff, in the end, it's going to be worth it.
Yes.
So, glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So let's just start with our basic questions. First, tell us your name, where you're from, and what your persona is.
Okay. So, my name is Ruth, and I'm from the Philippines, technically the NCR region. I actually have two personas. My main persona, the one I made around 2012, was called Ruth Daniel Warwick. She's like a hybrid of several animals. Like, with the reference, I think I sent it to you guys, right? Mm-hmm. With the reference, you'll notice that she has 3 pairs of wings. She has bat wings, then she has dragon wings, and she has tail wings. She's basically a Maine wolf, fennec fox, a dragon, and there's something in the mix that I forgot. So, that's my main persona that I created around 2012. Mm-hmm. Then for my second persona, the one I've been using on my logos and just on a new person I've been making, right, is called Nato. His full name is Nato Makoto Beans. He's basically a puppy dog. Like, if you notice that he is half, right? So he has a half German Shepherd and he's half Border Collie. And I made him during 2021 because I wanted to try out the kimono styles. So I thought, might as well make a character that's not as complex as my first persona. Because my first one has so much wings, I thought, if I brought into a fursuit, maybe the next time.
I really feel like you're into like this sort of, like Chimera, like multi-animal-esque, animal design. I think you're probably like one of the few people I know who's really into that.
Yeah, I was about to say, like a chimera, cocktail, whatever you want to call it. What was the inspiration for taking all these different little animals and putting them into a blender, basically?
Okay, so for Ruth, I think it's more like because I was growing up within the fandom. I joined the fandom around 2012, right? So I started Ruth out as a wolf. Then I saw a fursuiter from the US called Monoyasha with her snow leopard persona, right? And I thought, it has wings, it's a dragon, so I added that feature to my persona. Then for the bat feature, I don't remember, I just remember seeing art years later, like, wait, she has wings now? Okay, bat wings. And then for her tail, it just happened naturally. So I guess in a way for Ruth design, it's just me basically growing as a person, like seeing what features I really liked on a persona.
So growing as a person and just growing body parts as you go along.
Yeah, definitely something like that. I guess, in a way, I can never stick with just a persona that's kind of plain to me. I really wanted to create something that's more, that's like a hybrid or some sort of, just like the design. As long as it's not blinding to the eyes where there's a lot of sparkles. I just feel
Oh,
like
yes.
something where
Yeah, sparkle dogs, yeah.
Yeah, you have to remind me though. Are you saying like currently you don't have a fursuit of either of your personas, or sorry, did I mishear something?
Oh, actually, I do
Or you
have
do?
Roots persona, but it's like
Oh,
the
okay.
older version. I haven't made a new one, but for
Gotcha,
Nato,
gotcha.
I think this is kind of funny because during June, I remembered I was sitting down. It was, I think, maybe 9 to 10 p.m. And I was looking at this Korea furry con. That's how I, found about Titania, right? And I said, I feel like I should make a kimono fursuit. So, a few days back, I wrote on a paper that said Nato. Just Nato. Nato, the G-shaped kimono. So as soon as when I started drawing him, I drew half of the face as a German Shepherd, and I didn't have the full design. So I said to myself, okay, how do I do this? I just said, what's my other favorite dog breed? I went to the Border Collie. So I just made Nato half and half because I didn't have a full design for the German Shepherd. Yeah, that's how I made Nato, and it's more like just mixing both breeds that I like because I just like both breeds, the German Shepherd and the Border Collie.
And you decided to basically split that, not just like mixing together as a hybrid, but like actually splitting the body between the two different kinds of species, right?
Yes. And there was a reason for that because I think my mind subconsciously told me that, maybe make a character that's half and half. Maybe you will be able to make fursuits easier. Because I actually had a hard time with taping the head, like taping the head half only so that you can get both designs. So I thought, what if I just made a character that's half and half so that I could practice better
I
to
like
make
that.
the heads.
I like that. I
that's
have
why.
not seen a persona that's like split down the middle. It kind of this is probably gonna date me, but it kind of reminds me of Naruto, like black Zetsu and white Zetsu. Sorry if you haven't watched
Ooh.
Naruto, but you know what I'm talking about. Like it had like he's like split down the middle, and then like he has two different sides. Kind of reminds me of that. Like anyway, but that's like the anime fan in me.
Oh, I never watched Naruto growing up, so I'm not familiar. I just know the
Yeah.
QB one, so I'm not familiar.
Oh yeah, QB. Yeah. I mean, I'll show you a picture later. Yeah, but I like the
Alright,
design.
sure.
I like the design.
Well, I'm glad. Thank you. Yeah, so that's what I can explain about Nato and Ruth is that they're just two personas that kind of clicks with me, and I just like them being a bit more not as basic. I guess more of a hybrid, I guess.
Earlier, you were telling us about how you got into the furry fandom. It was because of this blue husky fursuit, right?
Oh, okay. So I'll tell you my origin story of how I got into the fandom.
Right.
I was just looking around YouTube for a cosplay because I was so into Final Fantasy 3 that I found out that there was a cosplayer in Malaysia that was cosplaying as a character I really like called Lunit. So, because of the fascination of cosplay, after maybe a month or so, I told my dad, hey, there's this convention that's happening in SMX MOA. Can we go there? So my dad brought me there. When he brought me to the cosplay con, we went inside. It was just normal, usual. We didn't really see any fursuiters. As soon as we got out to exit, I remembered I saw a blue pointed ear fursuit. I just didn't know what it was. I thought it was a husky or a kangaroo because that's how it looked like a kangaroo at the time. So when I saw the fursuiter just going down the escalator, I told my dad I really want to take a picture. So I pulled my dad with the crowd and told my dad to go down to the escalator. Then when I found out, oh, it's a cute fursuiter. It was squeaking. It had like a toy in the hand where it squeaks, right? So it was really cute. So I kept on, I can say, oh my gosh, furry. So I took a picture. Then after that happened, I never got the name of the fursuit. Yeah, that was my mistake. So my whole fascination with the fandom, I was like, that's a furry in the Philippines. I didn't know. So I went to Google and I searched blue husky fursuit. It didn't show up until I was scrolling down to Google Images. And then I see a blurry image of another fursuit. It's the same guy, right? But it's just, I saw a blurry image. So I clicked on the picture and it said, okay, Brony page. When I went to the Brony page was like, hey, we have a friend who's a fursuiter, so you can like his page. And I said, okay. So as soon as I found that, I realized, oh, I found the fursuiter who I saw at the cosplay convention. So I got to contact him like, hey, I like your fursuit. I'm your biggest fan. That was me as a kid, so I was really, really excited for the Fursuits. Then, as soon as I found out there was a furry fandom in the Philippines, I started to really look around Facebook so much that the blue fursuiter named Alduin recommended me to this group, so I was able to join the furry Filipino fursuiters group. And that's basically how I was able to, get to know more people and got to meet the fandom because of that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that there are many different ways that furries can be introduced into the fandom. One of it is through just regular cartoons or movies that just happen to have furry characters in them. And then another way, which is even better in my opinion, is that the actual fandom itself will sort of like absorb people into the community through fascination itself.
Oh, definitely. That's actually what happened in the Philippine fandom from my own experience. Is
Right,
that
yeah.
people were like, oh, fursuiters, it was super cute. So they were like, oh, it's so cute. Can I make my own fursuit? Sure. Can I make my own fursuit? Yes. So everyone's encouraging that time.
That's actually, I think for me, I also kind of got into the fandom through the community itself. I mean, in a roundabout way, but like...
So
well,
you
yeah.
got it because of people? Like they were like sucking you inside the fandom?
I guess the way to explain it is that at first I was kind of a hater.
Oh, interesting.
That I did not know. I haven't heard this story.
Well, it was back in episode 1 of the podcast where we were explaining like how we got into the fandom. And
Oh, I
kind
should watch that.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. Oh, and audience, if you haven't as well, you should give it a listen as well. After this,
gotcha.
obviously, yeah. But
Yep.
yeah, basically, to sum it up, I was kind of a hater just because the internet in itself were also a bunch of haters towards furries. And it wasn't until I actually talked with a furry and was sort of confronted this sort of blinded hatred of furries to where I kind of realized, oh, wait a minute. These furries, they're people. I can't just say this about people. So they're people like you and me. So that's when I got more curious and then actually joined the community.
Whoa, really?
I think the story is
cool
coming
story.
to me now. I think that's coming to me now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool because I'm glad that instead of being a hater, at least now you're into the fandom and, at least you're able to express yourself with stories and interviewing other folks, So I'm glad that you didn't ended up being a hater for so long. At least you became a furry.
Yeah, well, eventually you grow up and you realize some things are worth letting go. Some things aren't worth the hatred. You just pick your battles and you learn new things. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. From experience, like, oh yeah, it's hating. It hurts my heart rather just to love it, enjoy the fandom.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Yes.
Well, I think, Ruth, that's a really good segue into our next question here, which is like, what got you into fursuit making, actually? Like you mentioned, you got into the fandom in 2012. You seem to be really enamored with fursuits, and then you joined like a fursuiter group on Facebook. But like, what got you into fursuit making then?
After I met that fursuiter, I wanted to. Okay, this is a project I never told anyone because it was I was supposed to make it. So during the cosplay con, I expressed to my dad I wanted to make this Pokemon cosplay. It was the Cobalion, the Swords of Justice of Pokemon Black and White, right? So I wanted to make a Cobalion.
I don't know that. You can send me a picture later.
Yeah, vaguely familiar. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, I wanted to make a Cobalion quad suit. Those four-legged fursuits. It's like a four-legged suit, right? So I wanted to walk on all fours. Yeah, that's what I wanted to start out with. But since I think I did make a head, but I never really went anywhere because I didn't know how to make a quad suit. So because of that, I said, okay, I want to watch a tutorial. There wasn't that many quad suit fursuit tutorials out there at that time. So
right.
I remembered the first tutorial that I saw was how to build a fursuit head. So I watched that video. It had those rock music playing in the background. So I learned how to make a fursuit by that. But my first attempt on the foam base looked really bad. I don't have a picture, sadly. But I scrapped that. Then I made my other fursuit. So that was the second version of the foam base. But when I made that fursuit, I actually almost gave up because I kept on comparing myself with others. But after some time, I said to myself, maybe this is your style. Maybe try it out. You don't know. Maybe it's good, it's bad, we'll see what goes. So I made my first fursuit. I'll be sending a photo later on.
Yeah, please.
But yeah, It's my fursuit, Ruth. So that's the first fursuit I had of my fursona. She had a lot of revamps actually. So she used to be bald, and she had a little hair, and then she got a full set of hair. So that's how I made my first fursuit.
Mm-hmm.
Then.
But when was that? You have to remind me. Like, so 2012 you joined the fandom, but then like immediately, like the next year you started making fursuits, or what?
Well, if I can recall, I think it was around 2013.
Mm-hmm.
2013 of research, then I think 2014 is when I completed my first, so I don't remember. But I do remember it's within that time. I remembered finishing my first partial fursuit of Ruth, right? In June 15 of 2014.
So you've been making fursuits for almost like you said 2014, so almost 10 years, if I'm understanding correctly, like 9 years.
Well, not exactly, because I did take a break from it because I was busy with other things growing up. So
Yeah.
I did have some sewing. So during the time when I didn't really focus on furries at the time, I kept on just sewing. So I had a lot of
Right,
experience with
right.
hand sewing. So
So you really like sewing, like as a kid you really like sewing.
as a teen, yes. As a kid, I
Oh,
hated
okay.
sewing.
Oh, sure. But what got
Yeah.
you? Well, what got you into sewing? Like, I really want to dig into that.
Oh, what got me into sewing was because I saw how to make a fursuit. So I said, oh, I want to sew.
Oh, so it was through
Oh.
fursuit/fursuit making that
Yes, that
you
got
got
me-
into sewing.
Yes, and then my grandma
Wow.
gave me a needle. Was like, hey, I'll
Wow.
give you a sewing needle, and she bought it from the U.S. a long time ago. I think the needle right now is almost 40 years old. I could send a pic. It's
Sure,
the needle
sure.
It's a needle I've been using ever since 2012. So yeah, it's kind of it. The needle was straight, then it became curved because I was trying to sew.
Oh.
I was trying to sew a slipper. He said my grandma joked to me a
Wow.
long time ago. Why don't you sew your slipper if it broke? Because of that, my needle became curved. So it was the best decision, honestly. I can explain why people should use a curved sewing needle than a straight needle. Because
But wow, but well, you mentioned a slipper, but like, have you done like mittens and like a hat or anything like that?
okay, from my memory, I did some fursuit work for friends because at that time I did take commission. So I was sewing people's clothes. I was sewing like small fursuit parts or repairing. So I was mostly focused on making things. I used to make like little bags, little plushies, but
Oh,
but they were the
plushies.
simplified. Yeah, they were the simplified plushies. They weren't like the plushies with shape, the one.
Yeah.
So when it came to sewing, I just like trying anything. So when I came back around 2018, that's when I got more serious about the fandom. How
Okay.
about making fursuits.
Yep.
So because of 2018, I was actually able to see a better light in fursuits because that
Yeah.
time I wasn't really in the mood to make fursuits, but because of a convention that happened and I made new friends that time, I said they were like encouraging me, "Hey, why don't you make fursuits again? Because it feels like you haven't done so long." Of course, I was reconsidering because I finally knew that there's another furry con in the Philippines. While at the same time, I just had better friends that were really supportive of my hobby. So they kept on pushing me. And because of their pushing me, I can't look back and say, oh, I don't want to sew anymore. Like every day I'm just
Right.
motivated to make so much things. So
Because like you said, you did mention that you had like a break period where it's like although you got into the fandom in 2012 and then like you were
Yes.
getting into fursuit making the following year, there was like that break period, and then like in 2018 you felt like rejuvenated. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or like you felt you looked at the fandom in a better light in 2018, and then like you took fursuit making more serious.
Yes, I started to take it more serious and I started to do small commissions. So I started accepting like repairs. Well, I started with repairs first.
But back in
Yeah.
2018, was that when you decided to go full time with fursuit making, or was it just like part time, or how did that go?
Okay, so I tried to make it full time, but since I was working on something else that time, I had to do it part time. So
Okay.
yeah, so it was mostly a part time thing. But after 2018, 2019, when I got out of that work, when I said, hey, I want to focus on my passion, 2020 was honestly where I really got so serious, where I took it full time. So I was actually
Was that due to COVID because everyone's indoors, or was it just
Yes.
independent? Oh yeah, because everyone's at home and like there's nothing to do, so like you found more time and you spent that time into fursuit making in 2020, right?
Yes, and with while I was doing the first 2020, I remember hand sewing my fursuit tails. So I never really had a sewing machine when I started out. So I was starting out with full on. So I could send you guys a photo of the tail. Yes, I could send you a photo of that giant tail. I think it was like, how big was the tail? I think 5 feet, 6 feet. I don't remember.
Wow.
So I made that during the pandemic, and I loved it so much. And I told myself, if all the fur stores weren't as closed, I would have gotten more furs. But yeah, I worked with the furs I had at home, so it was just a giant tail. I remember posting that online, and there were so many people from international countries like, "Hey, are you open for commissions?" I had to say yes, but I'm sorry I can't because all the fur shops are closed. So I wasn't able to take it, but they told me, just tell me and I'll commission you sometime. So
I want to cut in here because I think that's a great segue into our next question, which is actually about the fursuit making process, because we're already kind of getting into that. This is also going to basically answer one of the questions that we had from one of your fans, named Sharon, from Facebook. So shout out to Sharon. I'm not going to say the last name because privacy. But
yes,
Sharon was asking, what do you use for your eyes, and was asking about like what kind of materials you use for the fursuit making process. So let's kind of broaden the question. Like let's talk about the fursuit making process, but let's start with like materials. Like where do you go to buy things, and what things do you buy? Let's start with the basics.
Okay, sige. For the basics, I'll just say for the foam, right? The foam you could buy it at a foam store like a Eurotech store or online. Just make sure that it's the upholstery foam, not the styrofoam or memory foam, because those are really bad for your health. No, okay. People have used memory foam, and I can definitely tell you 100%. It will be toxic, so do not use. Just use upholstery foam because that's the safest foam I can suggest to everyone. So that's one. And for the other materials, for the eyes, right, especially for Sharon, I would recommend using cross-stitch fabric. That's what I've been using for all my fursuit eyes. If you're asking specifically what the plastics are, I don't really use plastics on my eyes. I just use the cross-stitch fabric from IW. It's just a cross-stitch. Just search in National Bookstore or in Shopee, cross-stitch fabric, and that's what I use. And then for the Shopee. And then for the eyes, you could use 3D printed eyes, but for me, I just use foamies. You know those little foam sheets that you buy in a craft store? Yeah, that's what I use for the eyes. So if I really didn't want to really invest on a 3D printer yet, or you don't have anyone who makes 3D printed stuff, it's better you just use foam, like foamy sheets, because that's actually pretty much the easiest way to make 3D eyes, or just fursuit eyes in general.
Right, I was just about to ask about that. So you can use that kind of foam for both like 2D and 3D eyes, right?
Yes. Because it's pretty durable. It's pretty much like a rubber thing, so it will last for long. As long as you don't like bend it or scratch it, then it's fine. So it's a pretty good material for everyone to use. And then for the next one, for the fabrics, mine is kind of weird because I order it either on Divisoria or Shopee. So my answer is always gonna be just look around, because sometimes I go to Divisoria for my fur, and there are times where I order from Shopee. If it's like, oh, Divisoria doesn't have this fur, I can order from Shopee.
But do you ever prefer those physical stores, because like that way you can like touch the fabric and look at the stuff, or do you trust like Shopee, like, oh, okay, like I don't know the quality, but I'll still order it from Shopee, or like how do you feel about that?
Personally, for me, I like physical stores because you get to see all the furs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I do plan to release a tutorial on how to tell if a fur is good quality on Shopee. Kasi some time ago, when I went to Divisoria to buy fur, they gave me swatches. They gave me all the names of all the furs that are good quality. So I said, actually, I've been teaching some people like how to choose the best furs in Shopee.
Really?
Because, because okay, you can tell from the picture, and sometimes the ads might tell you something else. But to me, it's like, as long as I see the picture and I bug the seller, like, okay, please just send me a photo so I know what it looks like. Then by the time the person confirms and shows you the photo, that's it. That's when I tell everyone, you can buy this fur. Why? You can shave the fur is high quality. So I can tell because I have swatches at home, so I can tell people what to order and what not to order.
I do want to take maybe just like a step back and kind of like get back to the question, which was like, walk us through the fursuit process. So like I would imagine this starts with a commission, right? Like you talk to the client and they tell you, okay, I want this, this, and this. So usually you ask them for some kind of ref sheet or something, I would imagine.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought we were talking about like the materials, but sure, we can actually talk about the.
Yeah. We're talking all about that. Yeah. I just want to.
Oh.
I just want to start from step one. Like we were okay. So like I would imagine a client comes to you for a fursuit commission, and then you're talking with them, and you're talking about like, okay, can I see a ref sheet? You know, like do you have any pictures? So I'm guessing it starts with that, right? With that first negotiation.
Actually, so this is from my most recent commission, and shout out to him because thank you for commissioning me. I just don't know the name. I think it's called Retro Gamer, but I'll just tell him. I'll just say, okay.
Sure.
So this is how it started. Whenever I accept a commission or we talk about a commission, usually people inquire first. Like they ask me, hey, are you open for commissions? And I'll answer with yes or no, depending on how busy I am. So when I say yes, they ask me, okay, so how much is your prices and where are you based from? So I tell them everything like, okay, so these are my prices of fursuits, by the way. So for a mini partial, it's $600. That includes a head, arm sleeves, hand paws, and tail. Okay. And then for my full partial, which has the head, arm, hand, tail, and feet, and legs, the legs, right? That would cost $1,000 for a full partial. So those are my prices, but it also depends on the complexity of the character, so the price might increase. Right. Yeah, because depending on the colors, depending on the design. So
you don't do full suits? Do you do full suits, or you just doing partials?
I would love to do a full suit because I plan to make one sometime.
Yeah. Sure.
I haven't practiced on it, but once I get the formula, I'll tell everyone I'm open for bodysuits. Who wants a bodysuit?
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So with the process of fursuits, they inquire me, they ask me. So once we started talking about the design, if I'm open, then the person tells me later on, like, hey, we are sure for the commission. Can we pay you now? So I give them the option where to pay. And they ask me, how much should I pay you? Like, when will you start on the suit? And I said, oh, actually, I accept, the time I'll start on the suit is when you pay half, let's say half of $600, right? So when you give me the half payment, I will start on the first suit. Then before it gets completed or after it gets completed, I'll tell the person to send the other half of what's been promised.
Right. So basically, you're having them pay half up front, and then once it's completed, they pay the other half.
Yes, they can choose to pay it earlier if they want, or if they want to pay it later, it's fine. Like I just told people so that you can watch me with the progress of your fursuit while it's being built. You can trust, it's more like a trust thing where you don't have to pay me full while you see the suits being created. When it's done, when you see the product physically done, you can pay me right away.
Yeah, I think that's a good system. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like about trust. So yeah. Then for the fursuit-making, so this is how it went with my commissioner recently. Right. Okay, so we'll send you the payment right now. Okay, so when they sent me the payment, the next day I told them, hey, I will need to have your measurements. So I sent them a video of me measuring my head, and I asked them, could you please do the same of what I did? So I sent them a reference of like, okay, measure your head, measure your height of your, where for the tail, right? From your belt to your feet, so that I can get, the sizes for that. Then the next one, which I really want to practice for international commissions, is that for hand paws. So, because since the guy's from locally here, he was able to send me through Lalamove. It's like a driving app thing. So send me his hand patterns, and I asked, could you please make like 4 pairs? And the guy's like, oh, I made more than 4 pairs. Okay, so he sends me his hand patterns. After I get all the measurements done, this is something I do whenever I'm unfamiliar with certain things. So before a fursuit commission starts, I always tell the person, okay, so since your hand pattern is pretty much brand new and I'm not familiar for the work, I use scrap fabrics so that I could use that fabric, make the pattern. If it works, then I'll tell the person, okay, we're complete with the project. I can order the fur because it works.
Right.
So I use scrap I always use scrap fabrics. Then when the person confirms with the test pattern, next is the tail. So I drew the tail. Since I'm already familiarized with all the tails, right, I can make any tail with no issues, right? So I told the person, okay, when I'm done making the pattern, I want you guys to tell me if this is okay. So once they confirm I'm done with the tail, the next tricky part went to me. I made the fursuit head. So I'll send a photo of what my mannequin head looks like because it looks really funny. So the guy said, okay, I have a bigger head. Like, he told me his measurements. So I said, okay, I'll do the mannequin head and I'll update you. So I send the photo of the mannequin head and I show the measurements. And the person's like, okay, so that's my head size. So I start building a foam base. So with my first foam bases, they all have a moving jaw type of base. So whenever I create I don't know how to explain how I make the heads. All I remember is I just make the pattern I use for moving jaws. Then I just pad it to the shape of the character. So what I always start with any head is always gonna be the muzzle. I'm gonna start with the muzzle shape and I'll show the person like, okay, let me know if this muzzle is okay so that I can proceed, right? Once we get the shape that they want and I want, that's the time I'll tell the person, okay, so you like the head of the first, you like the shape. Yes, everything's perfect, no need for changes. So I tell the person, okay. So once every item is done, like every fursuit part is done, we will order the fur right after. The next day, as soon as we confirm with all the furs we need for the project, I will order it, place the order, then get the order, then tell the person, okay, I'll start with certain parts. I'll always put the head last, because I like starting with the tails and the hands always. Because I feel like I want to start out with the small ones, then end the fursuit with the big one. Finish the fursuit with the big one, right? So
right.
I completed most of the suit already. I've completed with hands, and then the tail. I just need to do the head.
So it seems like through your process, you're basically doing the smallest and easier parts first, then expanding and going into the more difficult or the more complicated parts, right?
Yes. But it really depends. For me, if the hand is more complicated, then maybe I'll start on the hand first. So I just like to start with the other parts before the head, because sometimes for my commission now is that the last fur that we needed arrived, I think, a week after. So I wasn't able to work on it. So I told the person, hey, let's just do the hair, let's just do the hands. So we started with other stuff that we could do right now. So yeah, with my first process, it's something like that.
Yeah, I can. It's very detailed. I appreciate how much detail you put into it. I think if anyone's listening to this who wants to get into fursuit making and all that, I think once they hear this process that you have, they're going to be basically they're going to be taking notes. You know, I think you put a lot of great logic and thought into like your craft, and I really think that shows that you put a lot of effort and experience into this. You know. And I think that's what makes you like a really good fursuit maker, actually.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I do try. It's based on my experience, so...
Yeah, you know.
What are some of the challenges you face, though, like throughout this whole process? Like at least a couple. You don't have to go through every single challenge, but like what are like the two biggest challenges you faced as a fursuit maker in the fursuit making process?
Okay, that's actually a lot. That's a story I want to tell you guys. So, in any fursuit parts, I can make the hands, the arms, the tails, the feet. But I always had a hard time making fursuit heads back then. So, yeah, I did struggle with the heads until very recently, where I learned a brand new method because my friend got me into plushies. So I was able to use the plushies reference as to make a new fursuit head. So, yeah, I used to struggle with making fursuit heads. But for now... the fursuits I made are even much more better, so yeah, I got more practice out of it. I just had to really challenge myself and say, this was on 2020. Next year, I want to make fursuit heads, and I want to complete them. Regardless if they look bad or good, I want to complete them. So that's what I did.
Yeah, heads, they always seem to be very complicated things to make. Like I mean, I know there are probably other complicated fursuit parts, but heads seem to take a lot of time.
Oh, definitely, because you have to do the measurements of the head. You have to get everything right, because if it's too small... ouch. If it's too big, it's too loose, right? So it has to be precise of how it's done. And yeah, actually, that's the only problem I have is just the fursuit heads. But
Sure.
that was before, but now it's much more easier to do a fursuit head for me now. For tails and hands and everything, if it's a tail, someone told me to make a tail like a tiger tail or a leopard tail or any tails that have a lot of details. I'll tell the person, okay, sure, I like it. It's actually a lot easier for me to make a complex tail than a fursuit head. Yeah.
We kind of touched upon this a little bit when we were talking about like prices, but like I was kind of curious though. Do you do like your first question was like, are you overseas or are you local? So like you do like regional pricing, right?
Yes, regional pricing. Actually, with the prices I made sure that people from locally could afford it while also internationally could afford it. Because I didn't want to make it too expensive because I also do want locals. And, after getting my first commission of the year, it was a local, it was pretty good. We got to see everything and, I got to know my price was okay for people.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, I mean, if you, as you said, like, if you charge too high, then very few locals would be able to afford it, right?
Yes, it's better to charge it in the middle where everyone could afford it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my vision where, okay, people could afford it and and there's some people inquiring me about Fursuits now, so it's really nice to, for them to look at my price and say, it's fair. My character's complex. I'm like, yes.
Just to ask, like, a really quick question, like, what is the base price, though? Like, what would be a base price?
For a base price, let's say, for example, it's a generic dog. If it's just a generic dog and it's just a simple tail, $600 would be done. But if it's like a dragon or... let me try to explain. If it's like a hyena, I think it would be a lot high. It might be around maybe $700 to $800, depending on the design as well. So
yeah,
it depends on how complex the design is before the prices go up. That's usually how I gauge it.
Gotcha. Yeah, but like how often do you sell to furries overseas? I'm kind of curious. Like have you sold to people in the US before, or like Canada or so forth?
They were interested in, not yet. Actually, they were inquiring me months ago because so most of the things people know I make was the Protogen plushies. Okay, I made 2 Protogen plushies for 2 locals, right? And
interesting.
There was so much attention to it that international people from all over was like, "Can you accept my commission?" But I had to say, "Oh, I'm sorry," because at the time I was working a lot of things. But I told them, "Give me some time, and I'll be able to make the Protogen plushie commission." So yeah, there are people who are interested in commissioning, and plus, since I have DHL on the side, I could just ship it within DHL. But most of my clients right now are all local.
Right.
Yep.
So, do you have any fursuit makers that inspire you, though? I think that was something that we haven't gotten to ask yet.
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah.
I can give them all a shout out because
let's get a shout out. We're at the burger. Hope you're ready. Shout out to all the tags.
All right, pull up the list.
Okay. So I can tell you the first fursuit maker I liked was Alduin the Husky, the one that made fursuits for locally in the Philippines but retired already, right? Then the next one is
Alduin the Husky.
Yes.
Alduin, is that correct?
Yes, Alduin. It's like a blue husky thing. That's the one. Yeah, that's the one I was fascinated with.
So he retired?
Yeah, retired a long time ago. So next is Monoyasha, the one who makes realistic fursuit parts. You know, the one if you look for Dream Vision Creations. She's the one running it with her friend, and I'm like, I want to have a base from her fursuits. I want to get the fursuit base from her. Then the next one is Firestorm 6, which made... Yeah, I love Firestorm 6. My gosh, that's where I wanted to get my first fursuit, but I didn't have money, so you know the story.
Yeah, I've been seeing Firestorm 6 suits since like my first time I went to Texas Furry Fiesta around 2011. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're really amazing. Like I love the fursuits. It has that charm I like. And then what's the other fursuit make I really liked? It's Kimono line I remembered, and let me try to remember one that I was super... Oh, yes. I don't think a lot of people know this person, but it's called Ice Squeaky Pinky. She has the cutest fursuits in the world.
That sounds vaguely familiar, yeah.
I don't know these people.
Yeah, so Ice Squeaky Pinky, right?
Okay.
She retired a long time ago, but oh my gosh. I will send some photos of her fursuits.
Please do.
It makes me cry because it's so cute. And the other fursuit makers that inspire me... It's the guy from Taiwan, the one that makes really Zilvin. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Zilvin. Yeah, Zilvin, Beast Fantasia is the name of the studio. I'm familiar with them. Yeah. They're a good friend. Beast really good shout out to Zilvin. I got to go message Zilvin now, so thank you, Zilvin. Yeah,
we gotta show him this episode.
Taiwan. Yeah, he is. You got that correct. He's based in Taiwan. He's based in the Taipei area.
That's so cool.
I do want to ask, I'm just curious, how did you know about Beast Fantasia / Sylvan?
I think his bird persona. I think it's his bird persona. Click. I remember seeing that. Yeah, I remember seeing that and just going, oh, that's cute. And I saw his account. I was like, oh, nice fursuits. And this reminds me now of another fursuit maker I liked as well. So, you know who's Ato Ama?
I don't.
Okay. So Ato Ama. Okay. How do I explain this? Yeah, it's called Auto Ama Fursuit. It's like a kimono style fursuit that I really like. That's how I took inspiration from his suits to make my suit, because it's such a cute style. I'll send some photos. But with the people I mentioned here, right? They're the reason why I got so inspired with fursuits. Like, there are more makers, but I kind of forgot, and I'm so sorry. But it's just like, there's so many makers that inspire me every day. Whenever I look at their works, I just go, oh my, I want to achieve that one day. Like, you guys inspire me all the time, So I just hope that I could achieve to their level one day. Because, they all started with fursuits that didn't look well, then it got better, so that's how I get my inspirations.
Yeah, I think it's great that you have inspiration, not just from people you remember, but like from all around. Just because there's so many good creators, so many inspiring people that you find just on the internet, just randomly. Even when I'm looking through Twitter, Yeah,
definitely. That's actually how I found most of the makers, is by looking at random Google photos, clicking on the links, and going to the DeviantArts, Fur Affinity, or Twitter. So it was nice to know that some of them are still active while some are retired, but better to retire with a legacy than nothing, right? So, yeah. Oh, right. There's another fursuit maker I remember that inspired me so much.
Okay, go ahead.
Sharp Fursuits. It's like a US fursuit maker, Sharp Fursuits.
Sharp.
She's the one that but her name is Sharp. She makes like realistic fursuits to Toonie, so she's a big inspiration to me. She's the one who taught me how to make a moving jaw. So, yeah.
It's interesting that you mention all of these fursuit makers who also make like realistic style. Have you ever really made any realistic style fursuits yourself?
Yeah, yes, I attempted. I actually attempted to make one on the Circle pre-made I tried selling. Yeah, that's actually my most realistic fursuit. But obviously, I would like to try one with the resin or 3D based next time. But since this was foam, it's more bulkier, so it looks semi-realistic than realistic. I'll send the photo.
Do you prefer the cartoony style though? Because like I'm kind of just taking like a brief look at your Twitter, and like for example, I'm not seeing too many kimono style suits, but like is that just like a preference? Like you like the more cartoony style?
Actually, it's more like Toonie to kimono. I think maybe I haven't reposted my fursuit, Nato's fursuit, because I haven't completed it. So
okay, so you're saying like, were you saying that it's like somewhere in the middle, or?
Oh, it's somewhere in the middle where I could make Toonie realistic or kimono. So
so you can make all kinds. You can make all kinds.
Yeah, as long as I could do it. Actually, my dream fursuit that I really want to make right now is those smiley teeth fursuits. Those one with the exaggerating smiles.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, because someone was asking me if I could make them a suit that way. So we're still talking about it. But if it comes true, it's like I can make a big teeth fursuit. I'm really excited for that. Honestly, if the person really says, "Okay, I'm ready to pay," I'm like, "This is my dream fursuit. I'm gonna make so much takes on your fursuit." Yeah.
Well, I'm really curious though. Like, is there like an animal from like Filipino culture that you would like to make into a fursuit though? Because we talk about like dogs and wolves and stuff like that, but like, is there anything like unique to the Philippines that you would like to turn into a fursuit?
Actually, there's two. The Tamarao, the Philippine water buffalo, and the Philippine eagle. Yeah, actually, I would like to attempt those two.
I was gonna say you're not gonna say binturong, right?
Oh, dang it! I forgot the binturong.
I was gonna shout out to Rita. I had to say it just for Rita.
No, because one of my friends had a binturong fursuit. That's why binturong furry. So I would want to make her suit if ever she does want me to make it. So it's really nice.
Yeah, binturong.
Yeah.
I never seen one before in my life. A binturong.
I've seen them. They smell like popcorn.
Yeah.
They smell like popcorn.
Man, did Rita tell us that last time? Someone told us that. It might have been Rita. Yeah, shout out to Rita.
Right. Yeah, she did say that. I think I do.
I think she did.
Say that. Yeah.
Yeah. She probably said that.
Actually, the thing with binturongs, when I was a kid, right, we went to Subic and there was a binturong that they call it the bear cat. It went to my neck and went to my shoulders, and yeah, it's a really friendly thing, and they're basically like popcorn when you smell them. So they're really cute. Like if you meet them in real life, they're really cute. But honestly, right now it's harder to find them you can interact with them because they're kind of, how do I say this? They easily get stressed out, so they're not really an animal that likes to be engaged with. I mean, as much as I love seeing them, they're kind of stressed when you look at them. So I don't really like to kind of stress them out more.
Oh, that kind of kind of reminds me of when I went to Indonesia, to Bali, and they had those little civets, where they make the poop coffee from. And
Oh,
they
you mean
seem,
those?
yeah, the poop coffee animals. They seem really friendly. They'll let you like scratch their belly or whatever, but like it also seems like they can easily get stressed out, and they're actually more nocturnal animals.
I guess it depends because the one in the Philippines, someone is legally breeding a bunch of civets as pets, so I'm not familiar because they say that they are like dogs, but to me it's like, I see it as a wild animal. I don't know what you mean by dog. So, yeah, definitely it depends, but I feel like for binturongs, they're more of, I think they're kind of endangered at this point. Apart from what I've been hearing, they're not as, they're not really pets, so,
Right.
they're not recommended to be held.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the three fursuit species I want to try. I want to make a bunch of Camaros and a...
Shout out to those guys if you want to, commission those fursuits, those animals.
Oh, definitely, I would be a dream. Someone's like, hey, can you make me a Philippine eagle? Ah, sure, the toonie, no, I want the realistic. Ah, well, time to buy a bunch of feathers. time to bunch of...
Wow.
Time to buy a bunch of...
Yeah.
Philippine
I was
eagle.
gonna, I think if you were going to make a realistic, like, avian bird, like, fursuit, you would need, like, some sort of, like, fake set of feathers.
Yes. Actually, I happen to see them already online. So what I plan to do with the fursuit is I want to airbrush the feathers. So if ever I get the chance to make one, I would buy feathers online, the synthetic ones, not the real ones, the ones that they get from ducks, So I would get the synthetic ones and I'll get an airbrush to paint them so that it looks more like an eagle. So we'll just see how it goes. Maybe one day someone will say, I will pay you a lot of money to do that. Sure, why not? Because it's a difficult fursuit kasi to maintain, so it's not something you can just make for, normal base. It's really tricky.
We've been talking a lot about like fursuit making though, but I kind of want to ask you questions about like fursuiting itself though. I mean, how
sure.
often do you go fursuiting? Like that I'm kind of curious.
Okay, so I only go fursuiting maybe, let's say, once a month or maybe once every few months because I
Like
haven't
with your
had the time.
friends?
Yes, with my friends on malls. Kasi,
Yeah.
what do you call this? I haven't done it recently because I've been so busy with commissions. So once I'm able to fursuit in, I fursuit more frequent. That's the time I can say, yeah, I'm fursuiting more frequent.
Yeah. And you mentioned malls because like the Philippines, I mean, I've been there once and kind of warm. It's a little bit warm.
Oh, actually,
Yeah.
wait, the reason why we suggest malls is because that's the most accessible place to go to.
Yeah,
Kasi
yeah.
If you, well, most meetups don't really happen in provincial areas. Like, I'll definitely tell you. There
Yeah.
are some areas in the Philippines that are really cold for fursuiting, so I can definitely say
really?
yes. Like Baguio, Tagaytay, those are the ones I can say, but not everyone can go there because it's expensive, it's far away. So
Yeah.
a water solution is always going to malls because, cosplay conventions happen often a month, so people constantly allow people to cosplay, so that's where most fursuiters are fursuiting at. That's what I've been observing. But yeah, malls are usually the ones we go to, especially when I'm excited. It's like, yes, fursuit, I'm wearing my spandex, I just basically wear spandex, and I'm like, fursuit, yeah! So it's a lot, it's cold, especially the malls I go to are like Mega Mall and SMX MOA, and Mega Mall and SMX is usually the most used malls for fursuiting.
Right. Would you say those are the best places to go for fursuiting, or would there be other places that might be good for fursuits?
I guess it's the most recommended one because it's the most accessible one. So that's what I would recommend. But if there's other places I could recommend, if you could, I would say visit Surigao, visit Baguio, visit Tagaytay, visit those areas. Like those are the areas I would like to see people bring their fursuit in.
Is there anything special about them? I'm not too familiar with those places.
Oh, for Baguio, it's basically like super cold. Like, okay, you think that the Philippines is hot, right? When you get to Baguio, it's so cold. It feels like snow.
Really? But like 15 Celsius or what?
Oh,
Like 20
it's been years I've been to Baguio, but I have some people in Baguio telling me about the weather. So they tell me that one time it hailed rain. It hailed. So
No way. Wow. I
Interesting.
can't even believe it.
yeah, it's hard to believe, but I saw the video. I was like, y'all also
Wow.
not lying, and they're like, no, we're
Yeah,
not
they're
lying.
not
I'm like,
lying.
Yeah, so
Good lord.
that's one. And I remember hearing about Baguio having like this. Every Sunday they close down the roads so that people could cosplay in fursuit on the roads
Ooh.
on the street. Yeah, I heard about that. I really want to go there one day, but for now, it's just a dream. But I've been hearing about that, and the mayor so the mayor said I want to make everyone happy on the weekend, so she closes down the road so that people can cosplay. It's really cool. It's honestly cool. And for Tagaytay, it's a very windy place. I love it. I went with my friends there, and we fursuited, and it was so fun.
But like when you go to like malls though, I'm kind of curious, like when you fursuit inside malls, do you have to ask for permission, or like will you guys get in trouble if you don't?
Okay, so if it's without the cosplay con, you need to have permission, and I know Haru tends to work with malls, so I think it's better if you can ask him about that, because he's the one that registers like the fursuiters' names, everyone to go to malls in fursuit. So I'm not familiar with that, but I heard that you need to ask permission, definitely. But if it's like you're bringing a fursuit head just to a mall just for fun, I mean, I brought a circle fursuit head to a reptile con.
To a reptile con?
Yeah, to pick up one of my snakes.
Oh,
snakes.
so
yeah, I
you're
saw
a
snake.
reptile liker. Okay.
I remember we talked about this, like, because my roommate has a snake too.
Yeah, I
Like, that was like way back then. I mean, that's when we first. I mean, I think we contacted each other in October, so we've known you for like almost half a year, or so like that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Definitely, yeah. Actually, I first suited some parts, and I saw some people I idolized. I just appreciate in the reptile community, and I basically wore my fursuit while taking a picture with them. I can send the photos.
Community.
I'll just
I
look
like that reptile community, scaly community.
Yeah, but I'll send the photos later on of the pictures I took with my dad. So it's basically
Please
nice
do.
that I wore first. I wore first of our short, but I was shy because we never asked permission to fursuit. It was just a random, hey, let's bring a fursuit around the convention. So I heard a bunch of kids saying, oh my gosh, furry! Or just an adult, may costume, may mascot. So the reaction was really funny. So, but all I can say is ask permission before your fursuit.
Now, when you go out to malls and you interact with other people, have you ever had to explain to a non-furry what a furry is?
Okay, I think I had a few experiences with that. So, I think from my best memory was there was this lady who approached me like, "Oh my gosh, furry!" And I'm like, "Oh, you know what a furry is?" Well, no, but you guys are wearing costumes, so I assume that you're furry. So, the conversation went like, "What is a furry anyway? Like, is it all costumes?" I was like, "Oh, not really. Actually, it's just a community of people who like making art, sharing art, or just how do I say this? Basically, people like drawing animal people." That's how I snapped it. And I just snapped back like, "Oh yeah, it's just people who make animal people drawings." Oh really? So do you need to have a fursuit to be a furry? Not really, honestly. Like, fursuit is a luxury. It's just an option. It's not something that you need to be in the fandom. You could go in the fandom, you can meet all the furries, and if you really like the fandom, you can consider yourself as a furry. But you can also join the fandom and not be a furry. So it depends on you what path you want to take.
I think I like that. Yeah, I really like that explanation. Yeah, it's very friendly towards people who might be interested, but like still informational and simple enough for someone who's not familiar with it. Yeah.
That's how I explain to people. It's just people who draw animal people.
Well, what about your dad though? Like when did you have to explain to him that you were a furry? That I'm kind of curious. He seems really supportive.
2012. Like, I just told him.
Sure.
After I met Aldo in the Husky the fursuit, I told my dad I am a furry. So my dad just saw it as, okay, it's just a hobby. And my dad just saw it as, oh yeah, it's normal, it's fine.
And then what does he think about the fursuit making business though? He must be proud of you though, because like, I mean, you're working hard and you're making a living.
Oh yeah, definitely. Actually, he supports me fully on that. That he even helped me get a sewing machine on my birthday. So he told me that, hey, let's save up. I'll get you a sewing machine so it can help you further do your fursuit. So yeah, he supports me 100%. And sometimes I like to joke to him like, so do you want to be a furry? It's okay. I just want to wear the costumes if ever no one's wearing the costume. Okay. So my dad's willing to wear the fursuit then. If ever no one can wear it.
He's willing to be your model. Yeah.
Yeah, he's willing to be a model.
He literally just gave you like the earphones and like a phone to record the interview, right? Like weren't you asking him just a moment ago? That's really cool.
Definitely.
He's like, hey, you just asked him like, oh, I'm gonna record an interview. Can I borrow your phone?
Yeah.
That's nice. That's really nice of him. Very chill.
It is. Plus, he accepts my weird art that I post on my walls. You know, the one I showed you guys earlier where I show
Right, yeah.
a cheetah paws. It's basically like semi NSFW. So
yeah,
my
cool,
dad's
cool.
fine. Yeah, my dad's fine with it.
Well, the next major like part of this episode is actually talking about Philifur. I think this is a good time to talk about that, like your experiences at Philifur last year, 2022, because surprise, surprise, you were the GoH. Is that right?
Oh yes, actually that was really surprising because they contacted me out of the blue and said, "Hey, Ruth, do you want to be a guest of honor?" And I said,
that was
okay,
Gatsby.
sure, yeah.
Was it Gatsby who messaged you, or
yes.
was it? Yeah, Gatsby. Is that what you guys prefer to call him? Do you call him Gatsby or do you call him?
No, Haru only.
You call him Haru.
Yeah, he just
really?
messaged me. He messaged me on Facebook. I don't know what time it was. He just said, "Hey, you want to be a guest of honor?" I looked at him like, "So so what's the catch?" And then he's like, "I just want you to showcase your art." So basically, that's how it happened. And he invited me to the Philifurs group and said, "Hey, guest of honor." So I got to know the staff, and I can see their group is pretty productive, and I really like them. Like, shout out to all of them because they do a good job in the convention.
Guys. Yeah. I mean, we'll be interviewing those guys tomorrow, so shout out to yeah, I mean
it's actually really good because I'm very happy that to find newer furries running a con. And I can definitely tell you, experience of me working at another con, these guys, they really have a lot more fun. Their group is really nice, and everyone's pretty creative on their own, so they have their own set of skills, and they got freedom. And plus, I think since earlier I was talking about Paul, right? Yeah, definitely I could say this right now. He might hear this interview later on. Paul, oh my gosh, girl, you're so fab. He's really good. He's I think the accountant of the whole Philifurs, and I'm glad that he also has a sense of humor. So I'm just always telling him like, Paul, I have ideas. So he's a nice guy. I really like him.
Yeah, I don't think I got to meet Paul yet, but I have been kind of PMing Gatsby. Well, I'll just call him Gatsby because that's what it says on Telegram. But I've just been kind of private messaging Gatsby every now and then. We both like Gunblades, apparently. Like, we both played Final Fantasy, so we definitely have... Yeah. I mean, because you mentioned Final Fantasy 3, right? So I was like, hey, another Final Fantasy. I haven't played that one. That's definitely one of the older titles.
Oh, you should try. You should try playing the remastered. It's really it's better that way.
Yeah, I started. Sorry, I misspoke. I started with Final Fantasy 8. I haven't played 7. I know 7 is also a pretty classic in there, but yeah, Final Fantasy 3 remastered. Okay, I'll note that. All right. Yeah, so Philifur 2022, like you, I guess you got a text from, what was it, Gatsby, right? That you were going to be the GOH. Like, what did you do at the con though? Like, I think you probably had like a Q&A panel, or like what were some of the stuff you did?
When it came to Philifurs, they told me that I was just a guest of honor. I was just gonna show my arts and all. So I offered to them, hey, I want to make a tale for your attendees. They were telling me, oh, you don't need to. I was like, no. If I'm a guest of honor, I want to make a tale. So I gave out actually 2 tales during the con. One was made for the con, and one was within our booth. So if you bought stuff from our booth, we would also raffle off a second tale. So
okay, so both were raffles, or only just the second one was a raffle?
The 2 tales were in the raffle.
Okay.
The tale that I raffled off, I think it was a border collie tale, was for everyone. So if you didn't buy anything from our booth, but you joined during Philifurs, where you bought a ticket to attend our con, you will get a chance to get the raffle. All we ask people.
Oh, so that's automatic, right? Like, as long as you had the ticket.
Yes, but I told people that when you came into the con, you have to sign this notebook. I told them to sign a notebook so that we can call your name out. So I remember the funny things people told me was, so should I put my real name? I'm like, you don't need to. You can make a name, a furry name. But can I just be a furry? I was like, just make it your own furry name. Like, I'm not pressuring you to make it your real name or your furry name. So people wrote their names. Like, I think we had 60 people that joined, because not everyone could join because they had to go home early. So they said, sorry, we don't want to join the raffle. So once the raffle was picked with our 2 winners, I remembered. I went back to my notebook and I said, who put John Cena as a name? So I of course I had no idea, but I never asked anyone.
But you had to call it out though, right? You had to, like, I mean, because they wrote that name, so did you had to call out John Cena, like, during the raffle, right?
Sadly,
really?
the person did not win. The person named John Cena didn't win, so it was a different. It was 2 other people. But if it was John Cena, I would have been confused instead. So I wanna ask, but the person I'm calling out is John Cena. Everyone would have gone with Tenet. Well, maybe next time we'll see.
Too easy.
Yeah, it was honestly funny when I saw that. I was like, okay, so with the guest of honor thing that I did, yeah, we just gave out the tail, and then I was just roaming around the con like usual. Like I had a booth, then I was just basically roaming around the con. It was fun seeing everyone.
Yeah, since you're talking about roaming around, can you tell us a bit more about like what was the venue like, and a bit more about like where it's located?
The location is Eton Centris, and for me, the venue was really Eton Centris elements of Eton Centris, or Eton Centris elements, right? So I can tell you, it's a really big venue. I was running around everywhere because I had so much fun, and I remembered guest of honor. I had a booth. I did not have sleep that day.
So you couldn't sleep that day. Yeah.
No, I was too busy finishing all the other Fursuit tales I was supposed to sell, so I stayed up. I was, I think, 18 hours awake that time.
Wow.
Without sleep. And I still function normally as a human.
Wait, how many hours sleep did you get?
None. I basically stayed up.
0 hours. Oh my god. And you still function, man. I think you're more crazy than me, man.
I think I stayed awake for 30 hours, if I recall. That's what I remembered. So I remembered 30 hours, and I said, haha, furries. Hi, people.
Yeah, I can do 5 hours of sleep at a con, but probably not 0 hours. 0 hours might be pushing it for me.
Oh yeah, never force it because it's gonna be really bad. You're gonna have a headache the next day, so I would definitely recommend to everyone, get sleep, don't repeat what I did.
But Philifur is a 1 day con, if I'm not mistaken. So like really, you're just going in for the 1 day, because like a lot of the cons I've been to, they're more than 1 day. But Philifur, I think it's just a 1 day con. Yeah.
Yeah, they put it for 1 day because I think it's better you ask Paul and Haru, because
exactly. Yeah.
I'm not a staff, so I have no idea.
Yeah. We'll save like the really detailed questions for them. I mean, that'll be their time to shine for their interview. But yeah. We just kind of want to know like any funny stories or any interesting stories from Philifur that you'd like to share.
Okay, so funny story is that because I was staff from another convention, people thought I was staff for Philifurs. So when I came out, when I came out saying, "Oh, I'm a guest of honor" with my badge, everyone kept saying, "Oh my gosh, you're the staffer," and I'm like, "What do you mean staff?" And then people kept on coming to our booth. Of course, they bought stuff from us, so thank you. But they kept on saying, "So Ruth, question, what's the schedule for this?" I'm like, "I'm not a staff." So the more people came to our booth, they kept on saying staff, like looking at me, and I said, "Okay, I am not a staff. I said it so long. If I was a staff, I would not hide it." So everyone thought I was a staff of Philifurs. Even the staff of Philifurs thought I was a staff.
Well, that must have meant that they just thought you were really helpful and really friendly.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the problem I had with Philifurs, is that I was helping with everyone so much. People thought I was a staff.
That must be why. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
nice.
And then it's just the funny. People thought I was a staff the whole time in Philifurs. Even to this day, people still think I'm a staff.
but you really are not. You're not a staff, nor you're a volunteer, right? For Philifurs.
Yeah, like I was just a guest of honor.
You're not. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay, so and then a few days later, my friend was pointing it out and said, "You know, Ruth, have you ever checked Philifurs con book that they gave you?" I'm like, "Why?" Check the sticker part. I'll send a picture because I think you might laugh why I never saw it. So basically, they told me back then, "Ruth, could you please make a sticker for our sticker sheet?" So I said, "Sure." When I was looking through the sticker page, I realized something, why people thought I was a staff. Because on top of the stickers, it said, "Our beloved staff."
Oh.
So my sticker for the guest of honor was there, but they never specified that I was. It was on the staff like sticker. So if you could see the one I sent.
Oh yeah. I see.
So the whole time in the con, I never knew that was there until it was too late.
That's funny. So this is the combo.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it right now.
Yeah, our beloved staff. So when you see staff, people tell us staff. Even somebody Twitter drew art, and they put the right side was furries and the other side was staff, and they put me in the staff area. And I had the message like, "Hey, I'm on the staff." So yeah, that was a big staff misunderstanding there. But aside from that, the funny stories I could say from Philifurs definitely was just a lack of sleep and me just being normal.
I love that. I love that the lack of sleep. I love that you remind me of myself. The lack of sleep.
Yes.
We just like nonchalantly say, "Oh yeah, lack of sleep. I only slept for 0 hours, but I'm still gonna function the next day."
Yeah, I just remembered everything. Like people asked me, "Hey Ruth, are you okay?" And then I was like, "I didn't have sleep." Huh? You didn't have sleep? What do you mean? And I said in a straight sentence, "Yeah, I was working on so many fursuit parts last night, and I forgot to sleep." Everyone felt bad. They were like, "Ruth, take a nap." No, I don't want to take a nap. If I take a nap, I'll be dead asleep for the whole con.
Yeah.
So
Amen.
Yeah, that's
So
fair. Yeah.
I was just watching around the con. I was just being normal people, like talking to all the booth artists. I was talking with my friends. I was talking to newer furries. So it was a pretty cool experience. Plus, people bought some of the stuff we were selling. So it was a very nice thing to see where people just came to our booth just to say hi or buy something. It was really amazing, you know. Like it helped me and my friends who were running the booth. So I want to shout out to my friends who helped me on the booth.
Mm-hmm.
They're awesome. Like they stayed there while they knew I was dead. While I was lacking sleep. So it was nice for them.
What were you selling at your booth?
So I sold some fursuit tails. The one I was selling was circle tails.
Man, you really like tails. I think you should be Ruth, like the tail maker.
Well, that's what people have been saying to me. So yeah. So I sold some circle tails. I sold some wolf tails, and I sold some shark fin bags. It's like a shark fin that's acting like a bag for your back. So. Yeah, actually, I still have a few of them, but yeah, some people bought them. And I also sold a button pin. Because then my friend had helped me make a button pin, so I was saying a button pin. So in our booth, Fursuit tails, button pins, stickers, and cookies. Because then my friend loved baking, so we told her, "Hey, why don't you bake cookies for the con?"
Oh my
so she
god,
sold some.
dude! Like,
yes.
oh, dude, the cookies.
You really, wow, you really sold cookies.
I want that person to come back. Like, I don't know who they are, but like I bought cookies. At the one con I went to, but like the cookies though, like yeah. I'm probably like there's a different vendor. There's probably a different vendor, but like if your friend sells cookies again, please tell them to do it again this year.
Oh, definitely. I've been actually telling her.
That was your friend, right? That like you said like
yes.
you and her had like the same booth. Is that right? And she was selling cookies
Yeah.
at the booth. Oh, that's cool. Cookies and tails. You get like if you buy a tail, you get 10 free cookies.
Oh, definitely. I just mean like I told my friends this, you know, since I'm only the one running the booth, it's kind of big. Maybe you guys could come to my booth. So I gave my friends the artistic liberty of selling stuff that they want. If they want to take commissions, if they wanted to sell stickers, if they wanted to sell cookies, why not? I just had to ask permission from Haru and C. Paul that can I sell cookies? They're like, as long as you don't bake it on the day, sure.
Right,
so basically, we baked it the night before. So my friend sold cookies. Actually, her name is Kim. She's the one that sold the cookies to everyone. She sold lemon cookies and she sold like a bone-shaped peanut butter cookie. So if she makes it next year, I will tell you guys. It was honestly delicious.
I will come. Like I think Philifur is in September of this year, right? So I'm ready. Like tell your friend I'm coming for the cookies this year. Oh god,
yeah,
maybe I'm just hungry right now, but like yeah, those cookies.
It's really good. Like if you taste it, you'll probably cry. Because I told my friend this.
Yeah, that's something I would say.
It was.
You made me probably cry. Oh my god, that's so true. That's so true.
What I told my friend is, you know, Ken, it was so hard to not eat the cookies while you were selling. Why? You could have one. I was like, no, if I ate a cookie, I would be eating 10 cookies. So I'm sorry, I really love your cookies, so please sell the cookies. So yeah, I was definitely telling her that you should bake cookies. I'll tell her, like, now we know that you will be buying cookies. I'll tell her, hey, you should make some cookies. There's this guy from Taiwan who'll be coming to my cookies.
Yeah. Please.
Sure, I'll tell her. And the cookie she sells is around, I think, 20 pesos, if I recall.
Wait. For how many? 20 pesos for how many?
For one piece.
Okay. I can do that. So it's three is 60, right?
Yes.
That's one USD. I can do it.
All right, she'll be so
I had to
happy.
think in USD. Sorry. Yeah, I still have pesos. From last time.
Oh, nice. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. And then my other friend Gabe, who was selling stickers. He was selling Pride stickers. You know, for the LGBTQ thing. Yeah, he was selling Pride stickers, and he was also selling button pins. So you know, if you come there, you'll see our booth, and it was pretty nice because he sold a bunch of cute art, and I told him, you can sell again next year. He's like, yeah. So we're all boothing together. And my other friend who's named Jogi, is also getting art commissions. Like, he's saying, pay what you want. So, if you want to pay a lot of money or if you want to pay little, he's taking commissions. So, it's really nice to... Basically, we have a lot of people. Our friend group is within the booth.
Mm-hmm.
So, basically, in our group, it's me, Ken, Gabe, Jogi, Dusky, Neil, and my dad. Yeah, so we're a lot of people in the booth.
No way, your dad went to the con?
Yeah, he went to the con.
Oh, that's funny. Me. Oh, gosh. Oh, dude, that's awesome. I love that. I love that. Your dad sounds really chill.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he is chill. he actually, I know, he pretty much just said, hey, if I go to the convention, let me know. And I'm like, oh, sure. He went to the con a bit late. He saw me while I was doing a panel. And he said, hey, you're doing a panel. It's good. I told my dad, my throat got so dry, I sounded like I wanted to cry.
Oh, wow.
It was funny. People thought I was crying, but I was like, "Hoy, my throat was dry." Those are the funny stories I can have in Philifurs because I got to do the panels, I got to explore, I got to talk to people, and then I got to sell some stuff. So it was pretty good. And Philifurs, I feel like they'll be a bigger con. They will grow as a con. So support them when you can. Plus, hear me out. As I've said, I promised this last year. When I first gave my tale, the Fursuit tales to attendees, I'm making one for this year. So if you guys buy a ticket in Philifurs and attend the con, come to our booth and you might win a tale.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, I already bought my ticket. I didn't tell you that, but I already bought my ticket for
my
God! They ran out of the what's it
King
called?
ticket?
The Royal? Yeah, the King.
The King.
One? Yeah, they ran out of that, so I had to buy the tier below that. I forgot what it's called. Knight, is it?
Knight.
Yeah. So I went.
Bad.
Well, I didn't know. Yeah. There was Travelers, Knights, and Royals Pass.
Yes.
They ran out of the Royals Pass. I don't know when they ran out, but it's because like for this kind of stuff, like I manually check. Like I don't have like a website updater or like reminder. So like I had no idea when they opened up registration for the con, so I just had to check manually, and I guess I checked too late, so they ran out of the Royals Pass. But I did buy my Knights Pass already, so yeah, you may. I mean, like I said, 50% chance. You may or may not see me. I mean, who knows? Who knows if I'm going? If I'm coming, then I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, that's
it'll be a surprise.
That's a good note.
I'm kidding.
Lamo.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I can't. I did that at Tie Tales. I didn't tell anyone, and a lot of people got mad at me. But that's another story for another time. Yeah.
Lama, all I can say is too bad you couldn't get the King ticket because I was actually the one making the Kimat plushies. I think if you saw the post, I'm the one currently making the Kimat plushies to give away to the King holders.
So what is Kimat? Is it the
mascot?
I didn't know. I did not know. I guess I'll know that like whenever we interview Gatsby and Jethro tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll ask them all the questions about the con. Yeah.
But I can show what the Kimat plushie looks like.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to put glasses on him so it looks funny. Alright, there it is. I sent it. So
so he's the dog. Oh, is he the dog like in front of like the tickets where it's like Travelers, Knights, and Royals, and he's like the dog wearing. No way, dude. He looks so cute. He looks like he could be part of like an animation that like Pymations or something like that.
Oh, thanks. Actually, I can show you another photo I made that was really funny because I found my dad's glasses. It's just the sunglasses we got. Let me look for it. It's really funny
I like
because
this mascot. Did you draw the mascot?
No, someone else. I
Shit.
believe that it was Lofi who made the mascot because I know they had a competition, but I came in Philifurs really late, so I didn't know. Yeah, this is the photo I made on Twitter because I found it funny with him having glasses.
Yeah. That guy's cool. That guy is a boss. Deal with it.
Yeah.
He is boss, yeah.
You know, we talked a lot about the con and we talked a lot about your fursuit making business, but like I kind of want to take a step back and ask about like being a female furry in the fandom though. Like how do you feel about that? Because I feel like there's like a lot of, you know, male furries in the fandom, and I feel like they often outnumber females. So like how do you feel about that, and like how do you stand out, that kind of stuff?
The way I look at it that way is more of, okay, so way before in 2012 when there was less furries, right? It's very rare to find a female. So when we find it as a female, it's like, oh my gosh, there's a female. So I guess it's an excitement, I guess, but at the same time, after 2018, there are more females that came in the group, so it's kind of balanced now than it was before. Like, it's not purely male from what I've been seeing. So there are females, but I don't really remember a lot of them. I'm sorry. Like, it's not that hard being. Yeah, it's not that hard being a female in the fandom because I feel like after 2018, it kind of just went normal where people aren't as shy. They're not growing up from a young age, so they're not as awkward with girls. So it's pretty alright. There's really no issues with being a female in the fandom. There are more males, but there are also females too. So it's actually pretty nice. Like, there's really no problem. People don't discriminate you because you're a girl. So it's really nice to really, they're pretty much like, oh, you're female? Cool. And that's it. That's how everyone I know is like.
Yeah. All right. That's amazing to hear. And then if I can ask, we can go back to your fursuit making business for just one more question. Do you have any plans for your fursuit making business in, say, the next couple years, 5 years? Anything you want to create or improve upon?
Oh, definitely. Honestly, I do want to take more commissions so that I could invest in more better materials so that I could make more fursuits for everyone. Like, yes, I do want to make it to a career where I earn money from it. And, because I genuinely just like making personas come to life. It's like you draw them, like example, someone draws them, right? And then we bring it to life in a costume form. I feel like that's a job I would really, really love to become more serious at. Because every persona has a sentimental value to the creator, right? So in a case, within 5 years, I hope to achieve an airbrush, a 3D printer, better time.
I was just about to ask that, like 3D printing. So you would like to invest in a 3D printer in the future?
Yes, a 3D printer and a airbrush and an embroidery machine and a sewing machine. So it's more of I want to reinvest everything because I want to make this into a full-time thing. And yes, within 5 years, I'm sure within 5 years there'll be one person's like, hey, I have this insane character that I want you to create. Only you. You know what I'll say? Oh sure, why not?
I think you have the start of a good studio and a good business because, again, like you say, you want to invest in your equipment. You want to improve on yourself. You want to expand your market. I think that you probably do, like, once you get those things down, you probably might get a lot of people from overseas. It's
definitely.
Happened. Well, I mean, like Zylvan, like if you looked at Zylvan, if you look at Beast Fantasia, they're based in Taiwan, and they probably were primarily selling for local Taiwanese furries. But I think they've grown to the point where they sell abroad. And you can look at Daza. We haven't even mentioned Daza this whole time, but if you look at Daza, well, I mean, shout out. Well, speaking of GOH, shout out to Daza, who is now the GOH for LAFC, if I'm not mistaken, for this year. So shout out to Daza.
LAFC?
Yeah, LAFC in Singapore. I'm not sure if I'm going to that one, so I'm not gonna make promises. But I have been to LAC, but I don't know if I'm gonna go this year. But yeah, like I mean, look at correct.
Okay.
But you look at Daza, like I think Daza is also a good example of like a fursuit maker who has like grown to the point where they can sell abroad. So I think I think we're meeting you at a very interesting point. We're interviewing at a point where like I think you have like so much potential, and that's what I like about the podcast because like we interview like Vietnamese furries and Cambodian furries where like their fandoms are starting to grow. Like we're at this sort of like inflection point, I feel. And like I can't wait to see what happens after 5 years. Yeah, I mean we might even bring people back on the pod like 5 years later. Hey, do you remember that episode we did in 2023? So 5 years later, how are you doing now?
I mean, I can't wait for that. Honestly, like as time grows, we also grow as people, right? So it's gonna be really fun to just one day tell you, oh my gosh, I made a Philippine Eagle fursuit. So it's gonna be one of those.
I can't wait to see that. Please let us know. I think that'd be amazing. Like I didn't even know what a Filipino eagle looked like until today, and I just looked at a picture earlier. I was like, that looks really cool. That'd be really cool.
I know. I just hope that someone commissions me because I really, really just want to make one.
Yeah, we're all hopeful here. Yeah, we're all hopeful that you can grow as a business and that you can really make your dreams come true, I guess, as cliche as that sounds.
I mean, that's why we have to work hard for it, so that we can achieve the dreams.
Amen.
That's exactly what I've been doing. Yeah, that's what I'm achieving, so yeah. Anyways, maybe I'll see you guys in another podcast in 5 years.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
Maybe see you at Philifur.
Oh, Dev, if you're in Philifurs, please excuse me if I don't recognize you at first. So just say hi and be like...
Yeah, you probably don't know what I look like. Well, I'll send you a picture later, but yeah.
Sure. Actually, it's more like I wouldn't recognize. So if someone says, "Oh my gosh, I know you," my reaction would be, I don't know who you are. Hi, who are you? That's exactly how I greet them.
I love that.
That would be me too. Honestly, that would be me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I would definitely say after talking the podcast, you guys gave me so much ideas that I just wanna work on those. Like just being being allowed to talk everything out. It's like, yeah, I want to work hard now and show you guys soon. Like I have things to make.
We're really glad that you say that. Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the podcast tonight.
No problem, and thank you for having me so much. I've been so thankful to you guys for being patient.
I just want to say, like, every time I hear Philifur, I keep thinking of like Philadelphia furries. I keep thinking of Philly cheesesteak.
Oh my!
Am I the one who thinks that? Sorry, I just had to. I'm a little bit hungry right now. Maybe.
I do see the
Not
connection.
really.
I do see the connection. Also, kind of funny that the football team for Philadelphia is the Eagles.
Oh, funny you say that, because when Philifurs was first announced, people thought it was Philadelphia. So
Yeah, you know,
it's not only
you get it.
Everyone was like, even my friends were telling me, Philifurs, that sounds like Philadelphia. I'm like, I mean, okay, so basically, yeah, everyone was really thinking the same idea.
Looks like Pittsburgh has some competition.
Yeah. Damn, I would love to visit Pittsburgh one day, so...
Yeah, me too.
Be fun.
Yeah. Well, no, before we kind of jump away, give us your social media. Tell us where people can find you on the internet.
Okay, so you can find me on Facebook. Search Natos Beans. And you can find me on Twitter with the same username, Natos Beans, right? And Instagram too. So, yeah, I have these social medias you can find me. Just type in @Natos Beans.
All right, good to know. I'll be checking that out later. But for now, thank you so much. This has been the Fox and Burger podcast with me, Burger.
Woo!
And I'm Michael the Magic Fox. Hey.
Woo! Thank you!
We'll see you later, everyone. Goodbye.
Okay, bye!
See you guys.
Goodbye!